I've been hearing a criticism lately about media coverage of loss of life, specifically how some lives seem to matter more. Whether it be discussion about fatal police shootings of minors making nationwide headlines, whereas police that are killed in the line of duty don't escape local headlines, or a discussion about how a local tragedy that might affect only a handful of people is the talk of the town, whereas the deaths of hundreds or even thousands of people at the hands of an oppressive regime somewhere else in the world hardly ever gets mentioned. It's hard to dispute that if you base it only on the number of times a death is mentioned in the media, some lives do appear to be valued more than others. So I wondered, why is that? I should start by saying that I think any loss of life is sad and tragic. But if I'm being totally honest with myself, there are some deaths that don't affect me very much, and some that don't affect me at all. Saying that feels a little bit dirty, like it's a shameful little secret. I don't like the idea of having rules or standards that I apply unevenly to people. So it was important to me to really decide what are the factors that influence whether or not someone's passing affects me personally. I was able to come up with 3 categories of factors that influence whether or not someone's passing affects me personally, and I think you might find some overlap for yourself. Factor 1, expectation. Okay, I don't mean to sound callous here, but if bedridden 97-year-old Zsa Zsa Gabor dies today, I'm probably not going to be very upset about it, and I probably wouldn't think about it long past the time that I found out. You might even be surprised that Zsa Zsa is still alive. And some of you might be wondering who the hell Zsa Zsa is. Would it be sad if she died? Yes, but she's 97 years old. She's led a long and eventful life and career, and she's not in the greatest of health right now. So there comes a point when death is an expectation and even a relief. On the flip side of the coin, if someone dies suddenly and unexpectedly, especially young people, that has a much more significant impact on me. In just about any example I can think of, the death of a young person is an injustice. And my gut reaction to that is a call to action. I want justice. So expectation has an inverse relationship with the impact of death on me personally. The more expected a death is, the less impact it has on me. But the more of a surprise it is, the more of an impact it has on me. Factor 2, the conditions surrounding the death. How did the person live? When a person routinely makes risky life decisions like drug addicts, violent criminals, extreme athletes, motorcyclists that don't think helmets are fashionable, their death is less impactful on me. And I think part of that has to do with it being partially what did the person do? There are certain careers that put people face to face with their own mortality on a regular basis. So window washers on sky rises, or police officers, soldiers, roofers, and construction workers are regularly and routinely put in situations that are highly, highly risky, and statistically, some of them are not going to walk away from that exchange. Is it sad when one of those people dies? Absolutely it is, yes. But it's also a risk that they were well aware of ahead of time. And because of that, their death does impact me less. How did they die? Was it a natural or unnatural death? If it's a more natural death, I'm less impacted by it. If it's an unnatural death, I'm more impacted by it. If it's an unnatural death, were they killed? If they were killed by someone who was supposed to protect them? Was it a parent or a police officer? In those cases, my rage response. When someone's life is taken, that's very sad. But when someone's life is taken somewhere far away in a place where I know it's unsafe, where I know injustices happen on a routine basis, it does impact me less. But if something like that happens right here in my own hometown with someone I might have met on a day-to-day basis, that affects me more. So if the conditions surrounding someone's death make it I'm less likely to be impacted by that death. Factor 3, proximity. The closer I am to a person, the greater impact their death will have on me. This one is almost so obvious that I shouldn't have to explain it, but here's a few thoughts on it. I'm a creature of habit. I like routines. And when someone is a part of my routines or my habits, it's painful, it's hurtful, it's saddening when I lose them from that routine. Also, I take comfort in knowing someone very well, in being able to interpret their facial expressions, their body language, to be able to anticipate their responses to things. To know that someone that I'm that familiar with has passed on is extremely upsetting. Loss. I feel great loss for them. To know that all they are in the here and now is done, and all that they could have become or done in the future is gone forever, is extremely upsetting. If that's not tragedy, I don't know what is. Finally, it forces me to face my own mortality. When someone I care for deeply passes on, and I put myself in their shoes, I feel the sympathy of that sort of event. I come face to face with my own mortality. That's a terrifying prospect. One last thought on the matter. All of those things, all those components of proximity can apply to celebrities. For example, I may have never been physically close to Leonard Nimoy or Robin Williams, but I knew their body of work, and I came to know them and how they carry themselves, how they communicate. I came to understand the image of them that I saw very, very well. So I felt emotionally close to them. In fact, I felt emotionally close to them in a way that was more significant than even some people I knew personally in real life. As a result, the passing of some celebrities does have a significant impact on me. So to wrap up, all death is sad, but the less expected, the more unjust, and the closer to home it is, the more impact it has.